Well, we have some breaking news, and you probably heard about this. If you watch this channel, you follow the news closely, but there are emails that have now implicated Donald Trump and his connection to Epstein. Epstein emailed Ghislaine Maxwell and said many things that obviously shows that Donald Trump is much more involved in the Epstein child sex trafficking ring than Donald Trump or Republicans would like us to believe. And Donald Trump knows this is bad because we also have some news here where Donald Trump is frantically calling members of Congress on the Republican side, trying to flip their votes from the 218 so that the Epstein files remain hidden. And CNN has more news about a White House meeting that is taking place soon to try to get that to happen. First, I want to just get to these emails in case you haven't seen it. But here is just a bit of what Donald Trump is alleged to have known straight from the mouth of Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein says here, "I want you to realize that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. A victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned, police chief, etc. I'm 75% there." And then Ghislaine Maxwell says, "I have been thinking that." So what he's saying here is that Donald Trump, different to what Ghislaine Maxwell testified, Donald Trump has spent hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with victims, and he knew about it. He knew about what was going on. And what goes on here, say here that Trump knew about the girls, and then he asked Ghislaine to stop. So again, Donald Trump was friends with Jeffrey Epstein, and he knew about the victims and what was going on at Jeffrey Epstein's house. This is previously unreported. And Jeffrey Epstein also says here that, quote, "I know how dirty Donald is." Now, as I said, that means Ghislaine Maxwell lied under oath. I wonder why she would lie. Here's a bit about that.
Epstein files. I caught Ghislaine Maxwell in a potential lie, misleading at best, lying at worst, after today's reveal that Donald Trump was at Jeffrey Epstein's house with a survivor for hours. And this calls into question her entire interview with Todd Blanche that has given her favorable treatment at the FPC Bryant prison camp in Texas, a facility where she literally has access to a service puppy. During her interview with Blanche, this is what she said. I don't think they were close friends, or I certainly never witnessed the president in any of, I don't recall ever seeing him in his house, for instance. She's talking about Epstein's house. Read this email from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell. I want you to realize that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Spent hours at my house with him. Has never once been mentioned. This is from April 2nd, 2011. Years later, she tells Blanche that she doesn't ever recall Trump being at Epstein's house. Is it technically a lie? If she didn't see him, maybe not. Did she mislead Todd Blanche in this interview? Probably.
Interesting, right? Now, as I said, Trump himself is freaking out, and he's calling people like Lauren Boebert regarding her signing on to the Epstein petition. Apparently, he spoke to her yesterday. Trump is also playing phone tag with Nancy Mace. So far, they are not removing their names from the petition. Trump's call to Boebert was also a very early call. So this man is deep in his feelings and freaking out. Now, why would Donald Trump be doing any of that? Well, it's obvious. It's obvious. Donald Trump is guilty as hell. He has done some of the most worst things imaginable. And he is very, very much so implicated in these files. And those files there, we learned from Ro Khanna, only came out because Lawrence O'Donnell had the survivors on who gave him the tip to subpoena the state. And he asked, why did the Justice Department or the FBI not get and release those files? Well, it doesn't really matter because at 4 p.m. today, in just a few hours, we are going to have the 218th member of Congress who is willing to vote to release these files. Now, I am not sure if that is going to remain the 218th because we are also learning, this is exclusive to CNN, that the Trump administration is planning to meet over the House effort to force release of all DOJ Epstein files. It says here, the top Trump administration officials are planning to meet Wednesday about an effort in the House to force a vote on releasing Justice Department case files related to Jeffrey Epstein. One of the sources said the planned meeting would include Attorney General Pam Bondi, Attorney General Todd Blanche, FBI Director Kash Patel, and Republican Lauren Boebert of Colorado, who has wanted the Justice Department to release their trove of Epstein files and has signed on to the effort in the U.S. House to force the vote compelling the release. CNN has not confirmed the meeting has taken place. A spokesperson for the Justice Department declined to comment, and the White House did not immediately return a request for comment. CNN has reached out to Boebert's office. Still, the intention of a meeting underscores the Trump administration's concern around the Epstein saga, which roared back Wednesday. So we have Donald Trump frantically calling members of Congress to get them to change their vote. The highest levels of the Trump administration meeting with those same people, hoping to strong arm them into changing their vote. And again, I got to ask, why would they do that if not for the fact that these are very damaging for Donald Trump? As Aaron Rupar says here, this should be obvious, but the reason Trump is working desperately against Epstein transparency is because he's guilty. Yeah, that man is guilty as hell. Nancy Mace said this: "I'm so sick of the fake news focusing on Trump and not Epstein victims. Everyone knows Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago and Epstein victims have exonerated the president. Ignoring the victims' stories ignores the pandemic of sexual violence in our country. Stop gaslighting and start telling the victims' stories. Makes me sick. Those who abuse underage girl need to see jail time, tell that story." I think we agree on that. The thing is, I think the Epstein files will help us understand who we need to go after. And it could very well be the president, because here is what Robert Garcia had to say.
Congressman, when did you get this information?
We actually just received all of these emails, with a total of about 23,000 documents, actually a few days ago, so last week. And we've been going through, our team, of course, through all of these very carefully over the last few days. We obviously released some today. We'll be releasing additional documents likely later today. The important thing here is that we know, and we've been demanding, that Donald Trump and the DOJ release the full Epstein files. In what's been released today, which obviously is some quite serious, I think, connections between what Donald Trump may have known. There's communication between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, obviously making some claims about Donald Trump spending significant time, hours, with possibly one of the victims. There's also disturbing emails there about Trump and Jeffrey Epstein that people can read for themselves. I think what's important right now is that we want to know why Donald Trump spent the entire campaign saying that he would release the files. And now that he's in the White House, there is a massive cover-up going on.
That's exactly what this is, a massive cover-up. Probably one of the biggest cover-ups in American history. And Kash Patel knows what's going on isn't okay. He wanted nothing more than to release the files before this all started.
On it, that doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's.
Yeah, that's exactly what the FBI is literally doing right now. And let's just cap it off with this, because Megyn Kelly said, actually, I'm not going to play you the clip because we don't need to hear Megyn Kelly's voice, but I will say the important bit is that she says either Pam Bondi is royally screwed up or there's something there and it's being covered up and the president blessed it. So close to getting it. So close to getting it, but you got it. You got it. You just gotta think a little bit longer. Well, we're going to keep following this. This is truly a breaking news environment. I'm going to be here all day uncovering this as more is revealed. Please stay tuned. If you want to follow along, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.